Hello friends, bienvenidos. My name is Jen, aka Jen Colo on social media, your local witchy friend and intuitive guide through the occult. As always, my lovely husband and co-host is David, aka Premier Pulse on social media.
Hi everyone, on today's episode, Jen explains Beltane.
Welcome to the show, grab a chair, make yourself at home. Jen's got stories to share, you'll never feel alone.
All right, this is the last Wiccan Sabbath we have to cover.
It is, yeah. I'm excited because we're wrapping it up. They have been interesting, but in full transparency, they haven't been my favorite subjects. Because it's cyclical. It's like, cool, we harvest, we celebrate, like, we give thanks.
It's very nature-oriented and also, obviously, European. So it follows, certain types of like cultural practices and things of cultural importance. So I could see why maybe you're over it. Yeah. Also, we covered it out of order, because a lot of them do correspond with astrological things. So we combined like astrology with that event already. So
I will say I do want to finish it because I would feel uneasy if I didn't finish it. What do you think? Which of my like signs, Leo, Sagittarius, or what's my other one? Cancer?
Cancer moon.
Yeah. Like, which one of those, like, leads me to want to make sure I'm finished, even though it's not my favorite? Like, completion.
You're Virgo Mercury.
Oh my gosh. What does that even mean?
It means you're like Alfred Hitchcock. Check out that episode.
Oh my gosh. All right. Cool. Thanks. All right. But let's get into it. Beltane. We talked very briefly before this episode, and funny enough, I was like, oh, this one actually does sound a little bit interesting. Mostly because I think we're going to be able to do some spicy talk, but we'll get into it.
Yeah, and again, to plug once again, Zia from Infinity Coven made an amazing Wheel of the Year workbook with so much information, journal prompts, tarot spreads, crafts.
Is that the book that you're doing for your book club?
No, I'm not doing it for my book club because it's more of a workbook and not like a read-through book.
That's what I figured,
Yeah. But she also has it now as an online course. So you can buy the book or you could take the online course at infinitycoven.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it. What Sabbath are we celebrating today?
Yeah, so Beltane, it marks the midway between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. It's like when we start to get a peak into the summer, which makes sense because it's been fucking hot.
Yeah, a peak is one thing, but the way shit has been insane. Like, February, we hit like mid 80s, low 90s. We're in April right now. The weather's been all over the place. Like, as we're recording right now, we've had really high highs, and now we're going into like April showers, which I guess that's common. But I feel like it's been really all over the place.
Yeah, Beltane is traditionally celebrated the evening of April 30th into May 1st. But astronomically, if you do the math for like when actually is the halfway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstice, it may actually be closer to May 5th or 6th. But we'll talk about why May 1st was selected other than just easy to remember.
Yeah. Now, is this one of those days where it's like we have exact sunlight half the day and half not the day?
No, it's more halfway between 2 points. So okay. You literally count like between this day and this day divided by 2.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. At its core, it's an agricultural festival, just like all of
Which one was it though? That's what I was saying. Okay.
I was gonna say like the other ones.
Yes.
And this one specifically marked when cattle were driven from sheltered like barns to the summer pastures.
I've had curiosity about that. It's interesting you bring this up. I was wondering like what happens to livestock in like rainstorms and winter storms? Like, do they just freeze?
I mean, I think it depends on the geography. Here in California, we do have some barns, but I mean, sometimes I see cows out like when it rains and it's like...
It's so sad.
They're used to it, I guess.
Yeah. But what about like the cold, right? Because even in California, I mean, it gets pretty...
Freeze warnings.
Freeze warnings.
Yeah.
And even from a like compassionate point of view, farmers don't want to lose their investment either, right? So I'm sure... Maybe they have blankets?
I think it's more of a barn situation, even back in like the 1st century, when this was the earliest recorded mention of Beltane is sometime in the late 1st century. So even then they had some sort of barn situation. That makes sense, especially because this is more Celtic in origin. But
do you think it would be problematic or fucked up if you like covered a cow with a cow hide? Would that be mean?
maybe I think that might be a little interesting.
Yeah.
It's like how sometimes I have leftover chicken and I'm like, do I want to make breakfast tacos? And I'm like, no, that's weird. Chicken and egg, like,
Really?
yeah, I think it's weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We had somebody who raised chickens, and they would always feed them like chicken and eggs, and I'm like, oh, that's a little.
Yeah, that's a little weird. Yeah, for sure.
Chime in though, because that's an interesting philosophical question.
This unlocked a core memory of my grandpa growing up. My grandpa on my maternal side, he had a lot of fruit trees, and in the winter he would like cover them with blankets. I was like, Grandpa, what are you doing? But now as someone that owns plants, I understand.
Yeah. So the ethical question is it unethical to cover a cow with a cowhide for the winter?
I think maybe it's a little sus, but on top of that, it's also like just not feasible if you have
That's
a
true.
herd.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
A barn is easier.
All right, let's move on.
Yes. So it's literally a cow moving holiday. Like I mentioned, the first recorded history of this celebration was found in a text that originated around the late 1st century. So
First century. Okay. Mm-hmm. Quite some time ago.
yeah.
And that's the first recorded, so it might have even been happening beforehand.
Yeah, and when something is that old, it's really hard to pinpoint like exactly who came up with it and why and what does it mean. So very similarly, its etymology, or like where does the word come from, the origin of the word. There are a few theories. So one of them is that it traces back to the god Belanos, which is an old Irish god of sun, fire, and healing.
To me, this whole thing sounds like Beelzebub, which is like the devil, essentially, but not always. If you listen back to our demonology episode, you explained the differences between like Beelzebub, the devil, Satan, like it's all different beings. So yeah.
And then others argue that it means Baal's fire, Baal, referencing the Phoenician sun god. And the Phoenicians are where modern day Lebanon, Syria are. They were an ancient civilization known a lot for their like maritime adventures, but yeah.
I think also they were the first people to like incorporate language into society, right?
What do you mean by that?
The Phoenicians were like the first people to either, it was I think write or like develop like a unified language. That might have to be a fact check.
Yes, that will have to be a fact check. I love our fact check.
Yes.
I was like, we're not going to use it, and we're using it.
Yes.
And then a small group of scholars argue that it possibly meant evil fire, but we doubt it. We think it's probably early Christian disapproval. It's more likely to be one of those gods, either Baal or I just lost it. Belanos. Here we go.
Okay.
Yeah. So their rituals were very interesting. So everyone in the community extinguished their home fires. So the hearth, which is like the fire in the middle of your house.
That we've talked about several times.
Yes, the hearth. And it's part of a lot of these festivals. Yes. It was extinguished, it was put out, and then a grand communal fire was lit. And then actually multiple fires were lit. And then cattle were marched between the two fires so that they could be fertile and healthy.
Now that makes sense though. You wouldn't necessarily need a hearth at this point if it's starting to warm up. That could I feel like people probably weathered the cold days in April better and didn't necessarily need to have a hearth. And they're like, we're thinking 1st century, right? This was 1st century, like wood and all that stuff to keep the fuel going. It's not readily available. So they're like, we might have to suffer 1 or 2 days, but it's worth putting the hearth out. That way we're not burning literally through our resources, right?
I think you would also need the hearth for like cooking. But I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
that's different. Like, you could just do a little fire.
We'll have to fact check this later.
I don't know how we can fact check that one. So
Well, yeah, what was the purpose of a hearth? I don't know exactly, other than for warmth.
Yeah.
Did it have any other purposes? We will get back to you next episode.
you will.
Yes. So the druid priests would also gather on a hill to obtain the fire from heaven, make offerings. I tried to find a primary source, like what type of offerings, and I couldn't find anything concrete. It was just a vague make offerings, and then dance until the flames, were like nice and big. And then apparently you would march the cattle, and then the farmers would also go by the fire carrying their seeds, their farming tools to ensure a good harvest. Yeah.
I will say this, out of all the ones we've done, it sounds a little hedonistic in the sense of like, we're burning fire and they're like marching our livestock through it. Like, it doesn't seem as cozy as like the other ones, if that makes sense. There's definitely communion here. I feel the through line on a lot of them is community, and I do see community here, but I could see how like a Christian, like European centric society would have an issue with that, because it does look, I think from afar, a little daunting, right? You're setting fires, you're having processions, like, the optics aren't great.
From my understanding, hedonistic or hedonism is pleasure for pleasure's sake. Is that what you mean?
I mean, yeah, because I think you can buy into other Sabbats, I think, from an outside perspective of like, oh, okay, we're in our house, we're doing crafts, we're doing activities, we're sharing food. But think about the optics, right? Let's, like, even in today's day and age, let's say Burning Man, they're literally out there burning this huge offering, and from the outside perspective, it does look hedonistic, right? You have those tropes, you have that iconography of like, we're gonna burn things to the ground. So if you're in the know, I think you'd be like, that's not what it is. But I think from an outside perspective, I think it does look hedonistic. What do you think?
Okay, yeah. I think that like maybe other festivals were more hedonistic, where people.
Well, other Sabbats that we've covered?
Yeah.
Yeah. What, off the top of your head, which one would you think?
I think Ostara, because it's a little bit more of like a fertility, like people were getting down, or like the one
That's true.
that was by Saturnalia that I'm blanking right now. With this one, it's more like give us a good harvest. We're going through a fire. It was more ceremonial than hedonistic in my view, but if that's what you think, that's what you think. You know?
We weren't there, so
Yeah. So
it's not Coachella.
Yeah.
Well, Coachella does happen in April, but anyways.
So Beltane was considered a time when the boundaries between the human and supernatural world was temporarily erased. It's the like opposite 180 of when Samhain is. If you look at it, like they're 6 months apart, more or less.
Okay, I don't remember what Samhain was.
Halloween.
Oh, Halloween. Okay.
Yeah. So because they're like the halfway mark, they're both. It's like the equinoxes. How you have the spring and the fall, you have Beltane and you have Samhain.
Well, in Samhain also the veil was lessened, right?
Yeah, exactly. So here,
So it's like a biannual event, essentially. Okay.
yeah. So folklore said that fairies, ancestors would come through.
Demons?
Demons.
Yeah. No, I'm asking.
Oh, yeah, just like otherworldly things. But what I saw more on my research was more like, witches, fairies, ancestors. Maybe demons or witches. I don't really know. Like we mentioned in our demonology episode, a demon could be anything.
Yeah. It's also first century. Like, I'm trying to picture the times. First century in, I'm sorry, was this in Europe? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did we have like Christianity by that point?
Not yet.
Not yet,
but
right?
it was. I mean, Christianity technically existed since whenever Jesus was crucified, 34 AD.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I guess what was the establishment at the time?
it depends on where you were in the world.
Yeah. Well, in Europe.
again, it depends on where in Europe you were.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the Catholic Church eventually comes into
Okay,
this.
I guess that's what I want to get to.
Yes, we will get to that later. So yes, the folklore said that you need to leave offerings at places that were sort of like the entrances to the spirit world, like wells, hawthorn trees. And if the fairies came and, left you sort of like a reverse offering and you took it, then the fairies would steal your soul. That's why a lot of people say like the fae or the fairies, if they leave you something, like don't take it, or if they like call to you, don't answer. So there was a little bit of that too. So that was interesting.
But what if it's something really enticing?
What if it's something really shiny and really cool?
There's an episode of The Simpsons where Homer's like tempted by the devil and he's like, you can do this, or like, I think it was his soul. He's like, and I'll give you this donut, and he's like saying like he's eating, he takes the donut before the devil's able to explain the whole deal.
That's funny.
It's pretty funny.
And then there's also the maypole during this time, which is a little bit different than midsummer, but because midsummer also has its own pole, but the maypole is a tall pole with ribbons, which you dance around in a specific weaving pattern.
So like a stripper pole.
It sounds very similar to a midsummer pole, but I'm like, wait, what is the difference?
Yes.
But it's one of the most recognizable like fertility rituals. Again, this is all about like having a good harvest and multiplying and fertility.
So a stripper pole.
Okay, here's where the Puritans come in. The Puritans in the mid 1600s made maypole illegal. Too pagan for them. And then there were also like what's called a green man and then a May queen, which are think almost like a prom king and a prom queen, but for this event. So the Puritans also try to stop the Greenwood marriages that took place on this day, which is very interesting because it's like they're getting married or they're affirming their love for each other. Like, why is this a bad thing?
Yeah, why would that be a bad thing?
I don't understand. I don't understand Puritans.
So, okay, I want to digest this a little bit, or not digest, I want to break it down a little bit. The Puritans are saying, I think the maypole, I can understand, like, dancing for pleasure is not, like, up their alley. But they're saying that the prom king, prom queen having that match is like problematic.
Yeah, I guess it's part of like it originates from the original culture. So unless it like stems from Christianity, it's bad.
Or I wonder if it's one of those things where like they're encouraging a coupling, but it's more ceremonial in the sense that like it's symbolic, and if they're not actually going to stay together, then that's against their value, right?
That could be it. Yeah, because the green man is a masculine person covered in leaves and shrubbery, which was, connected to more like nature. Folklore, nature.
Yeah. So I wonder, maybe that's what it is, right? Like symbolically, it's like we're not going to create a union if it doesn't ultimately end up in marriage and ultimately end up in reproduction, right? Something
else that they did was hand fasting, which we've actually seen live. It's really cool. Yeah. It's when two people like join hands and then they're tied by a rope, which is really cool. So maybe there's also that, like, it's not just like you're not getting married the Christian way, or you're not affirming the Christian way. But I also think with
even back then they were on their fucking the sanctity of marriage.
Yeah. But also the green man and the May queen, it was more ceremonial. I don't think they actually got married. But yeah, the hand fasting was super cool. And there were some traditions where you did the hand fasting and you basically affirmed your love for a year and a day, where it's like we dedicate to each other, like to do our best for a year and a day, meaning that like next Beltane you'll revisit and like reaffirm. It's almost like re-upping your vows in a way, which I think is kind of cute.
It is, but it's also like, which you and I always joke, but it's like not for eternity, but let's give it 10 years and revisit it at that point. Hey, it's pragmatic, so I'll take it.
I think it's a cute annual like re-upping of your love for each other. Cute,
but I also, yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes into play, like even on an anthropological level, people didn't live that long, right? So like to commit your whole life to someone, if you're only going to live to like 20 or 25, it's like, there's shit I want to also do. Now maybe it's a little easier because, well, even like our generation, we don't marry at like 18, 19. Not there's anything wrong with that, but
it's not the norm anymore.
It's not the norm anymore. The norm is like you establish yourself, you establish your career, and then you find someone and get married, and then you can enjoy like the latter half. But when people are dying a lot of childbirth, or like even in like, you know, their 30s, maybe it does make sense to be like, you know what, let's think about this lifetime commitment.
Here's also the tea with like the virginity requirement. Like people, women specifically, used to get married at like 13, 14, 15. That's not that difficult to remain a virgin.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the tea. We experienced a hand fasting IRL at a wedding that we were invited to, and it was so beautiful. They used a bright red rope, and it was just such a gorgeous ceremony to witness. It was very interesting to see their like physical union, and they held hands during their ceremony.
Yeah, it was cute.
It was very cute, very nice to see.
With the, I want to go back a little bit to the Green Man and the May Queen. Do you think it was like popular vote, like the popular people in the town? Or I wonder if there was like any requirements, or what was it like? What were the requirements to be, I guess, the Green Man or the May Queen?
Yeah, I ran out of time to research that.
Yes.
So I will get back to you on what exactly.
I mean, I feel like it would be an honor, right? To do that?
Yeah, I mean, there were some traditions that if the May Queen was captured, she had to be ransomed. I think we've seen a movie with this concept.
You're thinking about The Office.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. At the end where they like, Dwight is getting married and they kidnap Angela and then they have to pay a ransom of beer. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if that's related to this, but it you know, it could be a thing along those lines for sure. And then at this point, we're also starting to see the blooming of the crops, right? So we're coming out of harvesting, hibernating, storing. So at this point, we're probably a little more open with like, I don't want to say like spending or throwing things away, but we probably don't have to be as cautious with our resources, right?
I think they're still planting because the farmers would go through with their seeds.
Yeah.
Like between the fires. So I don't know if anything is harvested this early.
Maybe not harvested, but you don't have to be as like, okay, when we've done the winter ones, like there's no hunting, there's no foraging, there's no gathering because it's so fucking cold. You have to stay inside. You have to stay huddled together. But now people can go out, you can go forage, you can hunt, you can kill one of the cows. Like it's I don't know if cows have mating seasons, but maybe they do, and that's when like, sure, if you lose a cow or like want to eat one of your cows, it's probably not as detrimental to like eating a cow during wintertime and then they're not going to be able to reproduce, or you won't have a calf within the next, again, I don't know what the gestation period is on cows, but you know what I'm trying to say?
I could see that. Yeah. But the main star of the show is not so much the harvest, but it's moving the cows to the summer pastures.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm sure they do mate out there and stuff.
And I also wonder, like, you're coming out of the stir crazy, the cabin fever, because you've spent all winter, again, eating your canned goods, eating your reserves, essentially. I'm sure people have that, like, anxiety, right? Of like, ugh, it's finally we can get out. Yeah.
Yeah, I have this content creator that I love to see that lives in Scotland, I think. She's like, I haven't seen the sun in 2 months. I'm going crazy.
Yeah, well, I don't know when this is coming out. We might be in Alaska as this comes out, but...
April 30th.
Oh, so we're going to be in Alaska. Yeah. So when you're hearing this, we're going to be on a cruise in Alaska.
Yeah.
And Alaska, certain parts, like, there's no sunlight for a majority of the day. Or there's summer... I forget if it's their winter or their summer, but there's like sunlight all day and they only get like 4 hours of like nighttime. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's the extremes. Yeah. But because we're going in May, which is not like extreme summer or extreme winter, I think it should be a little bit more balanced.
And I also don't think we're going deep into Alaska. We're kind of doing
The coast.
Yeah, the coast. So
Yeah, we are.
awesome. Well, I'm really excited to hear more. I think you've covered like the history, and I'm sure we're going to get into how the Catholics appropriated it after this break.
Today's episode is brought to you by us, Kythera Collective. If you've been vibing with the energy of the show, then you're going to love the Kythera Club over on Patreon. It's a space that I built for the cosmic, the curious, and the slightly chaotic. You know who you are. With 3 delicious tiers to choose from, we start with the chocolate level at $4 a month, which gains you access to weekly horoscopes and the exclusive Unhinged podcast, where I say things that don't make it to this main feed. It's sweet, it's spicy, and it's just for you. Next, we have the cafe level at $7 a month. This is where things really start to get cooking. You'll receive access to exclusive workshops, monthly virtual hangouts, and a private Discord community where you can chat directly with me and receive exclusive behind-the-scenes updates. It's magical, cozy, and a little unhinged in the best way. Finally, we have the tequila level. This is the VIP lounge. At $25 a month, you'll receive everything from the previous tiers, plus a personal 15-minute one-on-one session with myself or David each month, and discounts if you want to extend the session. It's a whole vibe and a powerful way to receive personalized guidance. So if you've been laughing along with us, crying, or rage screaming in agreement, come hang out with us at the Kythera Club. Head over to patreon.com/JenCallo and choose your tier. If you want to sponsor an episode and advertise with us, go to our website, www.jencallo.com. All right, now back to the show. Welcome back. One thing I forgot to mention, why do they put out their hearths? Because then they light it from the communal fires that were lit.
So they don't have to keep it going.
Yeah. They basically take like the sacred flame back to their house and then light their own individual hearth.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool. I've done a Yule celebration that way where there's like a mother flame and then one candle lights like 20 candles in a circle. It's really beautiful. So yeah, I love that. But yes.
And that also does preserve on, again, wood, right? You don't have to keep burning your own wood. There's like a communal pile.
Maybe. I think it's more ceremonial. But yeah, I don't really know how that.
My mind always goes to that, especially with these Sabbats, because they didn't come out of nowhere, right? I know I've touched on this where like a lot of these ceremonies come out of necessity and trying to find meaning to certain things. So I think there's always a reason behind. Like, I like to ask the why. And so that's why I'm always like, I wonder if it's because XYZ.
I think there is a why, but it's not always practical.
Exactly. Oh, no, you don't think so?
There's always a why,
yeah,
but it's not always practical.
Oh, see, I think maybe now we have a lot more freedoms, but I think back in the day, I would think most, if not all, whys would have some practicality to it, right? That's what I think, but
maybe. I mean, I don't understand how you would save on wood. You just like stop your fire to relight it from this magic fire, like.
Well, no, you would save on wood because, from my understanding, during the winter you have your hearth going at all times. So if you have an opportunity to not have it on, right? You have to have it on because you can't go out in the winter and go get wood, right? Because it's too cold. The elements are too dangerous. So what I'm assuming is at this time now you can put out the fire at home and then you can use a communal fire and then not always have to be constantly burning your one at the house. And if you need to relight it, you can actually step outside, get the flame. Whereas during the winter, you cannot step outside.
But you just extinguish it for one day and then relight it from the magic fire. Like, how does that save wood? I don't understand.
Well, a day of fire is a lot of wood. Like, even an hour, like...
I guess so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, we're getting into the weeds. But yes. Natural fires do take a lot of wood. I'm just going to say that. Okay. Somebody who, like, barbecues and uses wood, yes.
Okay. Point taken.
You're barbecuing next time.
Yeah.
And then you're going to let the people know about your wood theory.
How much wood is actually burned.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yes. How does the Catholic Church come into this? So, there was a saint named Saint, oh my God, let's see if I pronounce this correctly, Walburga.
Like Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, yeah. Walpurga or Walburga, something like that.
Okay.
Yes. So she was an Anglo-Saxon missionary to the Frankish Empire. She was canonized on May 1st, 870 by Pope Adrian II.
Okay.
So eventually, once Christianity spread, they were like, okay, what saint is around Beltane, like either April 30th or May 1st? Like, who can we... appropriate name this after. So they said this is now May Day, or in the Roman Floralia, or in Central Europe, Walpurgisnacht. It's German-ish. She is interesting because all the saints, they're almost like demigods because they all control like a little realm.
Yes.
She controls something super random. She is a special patroness against hydrophobia, aka rabies.
It's not so random because back in the day, rabies was a real threat. So I don't think it's that random considering the time. And obviously, they didn't know what we know today, and rabies can be transmitted through like a bite. It can be transmitted through, an infected animal, and I'm sure they didn't have precautions back in the day.
That's true.
And rabies there's been like 1 or 2 cases that have been documented, but it pretty much has a 100% mortality rate if you are not vaccinated or get the vaccines. Essentially, by the time you're showing symptoms, you're going to die. It's too late. So I don't think it's that random for the time and place.
That reminds me, I recently found out that I never got the chickenpox vaccine.
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, what? And when you get it as a kid, I guess it's like no big deal. But when you get it as an adult, it'll really fuck you up.
Yeah.
So I'm getting my chickenpox vaccine very, very soon.
Yes. Yeah, and the adult version of that is like the shingles, and I've known some people that have had it, and it's like not great. It's supposed to be really, really bad. But going back, yes, I don't think this is random at all. There is documentation in like ancient records of rabies. Obviously, they didn't know what it was, but it's very ubiquitous, right? It's like the fear of water, the aggression, like the symptomology is very unique. So, and yeah, I mean, back in the day, like you did not survive it. Like you don't survive it now if you get it and don't treat it. So
that's actually true. I didn't think about that. Vaccinations are a very recent invention.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not that random.
That's why people had to renew every year, because you don't live long.
This is true. So yeah, it became her May Day, or her feast day. It's not celebrated anymore, but back in the day it was. And it's really interesting where she's laid to rest. Apparently there were these rocks that secreted some sort of like water or oil, and people were like, whoa, this didn't happen before. And there's a belief that this liquid that's secreted, they eventually tested it, found out it was spring water going through the rocks, but people believe that it has magical powers. Yeah. And I'm like, you can't tell me this shit ain't witchy. If not witchy, why witchy shape? Like,
well, when you say people, do you mean like the church?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They're like, yeah, this is Catholicism. This is not witchcraft. Yeah. It's like, there are so many parallels. Like, a specific person that you pray to for something very specific, you go do these rituals, you get this healing water or whatever, like... The drama, the flair, it's all there. The things that the witches love, it's all there. What do you mean?
It's like check.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically. Yeah, this is a very interesting festival celebration because it focuses a lot on love, fertility, moving the cattle from one place to another, blessing all of your stuff so that you do have like a fertile harvest. I know that in bulk, when we talked about it, it was the mating season or the birthing season for sheep.
Yes.
And now we're talking about cattle and we're talking about like seeds. I think it's really cool to see the progression, and it's like, I guess sheep mate and give birth a little bit earlier than maybe cattle, or there's again the emphasis from like going to barn to the summer pastures.
Yeah. I mean, sheep are also significantly smaller than cows, so I wonder, like resources, land, time, all that is into consideration.
Yeah.
One of our, at least in our house, it's become a meme. But now every time we talk about sheep, I always tell Jen, "Sheep go ba," and that's from our
In-bulk
episode.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, I had some good quips on that one, so I highly recommend you listen to that one.
So how do people celebrate it now? So now, if you want to celebrate it, unless you are a cattle rancher, you can't.
Hey, we are near a bunch of cattle, and Harrison Ranch is up the road, so if we want to go get a steak, I'm not opposed to it.
We know someone that has cattle.
We do?
Yeah. They were like, I have to go work at the farm, help my mom.
We'll have to talk about it after, because I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah. We know people that have cattle. In the Central Valley, like, you're 1 degree of separation from a farmer, for sure. But yes, in modern pagan celebrations, we celebrate more fertility, sacred union, spring's peak energy, transitioning to the summer, good times. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. It's more like what brings me. So in the workbook that Zia has, the journal prompt is what brings me pleasure, or like how can I maximize pleasure and good feeling during this time.
And like, what are some of the things that people do?
Yeah, so a lot of people make spring crowns, like the flower crowns, bonfires, candle rituals.
I joked about this earlier, but I do wonder if Coachella takes inspiration from that, because that's giving major Coachella aesthetic.
I'm sure they do. Leave offerings for the fae.
Okay. We also have a fairy garden right near where we live.
We do. We have a fairy garden in Merced. It's cute.
Do you think we should go leave an offering?
Yeah, that would be good. Oh, that reminds me, one time we were driving. I was making a left-hand turn. I was driving, so I was just focusing on the road. And David was like, is that an offering? Because he saw garlic, a pomegranate, and a beer, right? And then some rocks or something. Yeah. I was like, I think that's just trash. He was like, no, that doesn't look like trash.
Yeah.
So I U-turned, I went back, and someone left an offering at the crossroads, and I think it was like Hecate's special day or something, so it made sense. Like, we ended up asking Vanna and researching.
We consulted with the expert. And
we consulted the expert.
They're like, that is absolutely an offering. And we're like, I was proud because I caught it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like just driving, focusing on the road, and he's like, whoa. So we could absolutely celebrate Beltane. Yeah. Oh, we're not going to be here for Beltane, so we got to leave offerings for the Alaskan fairies.
Okay. That should be cool.
Yeah. May 1st is when we'll celebrate it.
We're not going to do it this time, but we did take a cruise and we recorded an episode on that. On that cruise. It was the astrocartography episode, and we actually had the cruise director do our intro. It was super cool. That was really early on, so
that was a lot of fun.
That's another callback episode. If you have not listened to it, it would be worth listening to.
And also celebrating with dairy products and honey and mead. All those
lactose intolerant people are kind of fucked.
Eat Parmesan cheese. I don't know.
Parmesan cheese. As of this recording, tomorrow I have a meeting at work, and we always have to do like an icebreaker. And for some reason, the icebreaker is going to be like, if you were a cheese, what cheese would you be? So I'm excited to hear those answers.
That's interesting. But yes, Beltane asks you to stop surviving and start living.
Yeah.
And expanding on what brings you pleasure and happiness.
Yes. As two people who are going through a fertility journey, is there anything that you're doing or taking into consideration around this time? And I mean, you can put our shit out there.
Yeah, we are going through a fertility journey. It's funny. A week before Beltane, we're having our infertility consult, which is interesting.
That's true. Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah. I think mathematically, there is one big step that I need to do, which is like changing some lifestyle things. So I think on Beltane, that would be a good day to like commit to
changes.
To some of these changes to, maybe we'll find a bonfire in Alaska on May 1st.
The one thing they tell you on a cruise ship is do not start a fire. That's like the one thing.
No. When we're out on the excursion.
I know, but I'm just saying.
No, we're not lighting any fires. We don't want to get kicked out of Alaska.
You're such a pyro. You're always looking at what the hell can I light on fire. Speaking of fire safety, today I was looking at Jen's altar, which I never do. But she has a lot of like crystals and oils, and because actually this is very apropos, the sun is coming out. I've noticed that the sun is hitting her crystals and creating like focus points, and I'm like,
shit,
babe, I'm not telling you how to like do your magic, but let's not start an inadvertent fire. So.
Yes, I'll be moving them somewhere that doesn't hit the light's path.
Yes. Yeah, It looks pretty.
It does.
I was like, oh, rainbows, and I was like, oh shit, fire.
Yeah.
Yes. And actually, if you want to see Jen's altar, we do have an episode on our Patreon where you kind of walk people through an altar cleaning as well as what's on your altar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll post pictures sometimes on the Discord.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that, because I always like to say, like, what are your plans? Or I guess it's always your plans because I don't really participate. I will be participating in our fertility journey. That is not a solo act.
Call me when it's done.
Yeah. So make sure you involve me in that process. But other than that, I don't usually celebrate these with you. But we will be in Alaska, so you'll be trying to find a way to honor, right?
Yeah, I'll think about how to do it. Maybe I'll just drink meat on the ship or something.
They won't have meat on the ship.
You don't know that.
I do know that, yes. Because we have to consider packing, like, if you were to do an offer, would it be something you took, like, from here? Or do you think you would buy something and offer it?
Like an offering to the fairies?
Yeah.
Oh, probably something from here. They're kind of simple.
Yeah, what would you consider offering?
Maybe a small crystal.
Yeah.
Or maybe like some dried flowers or something.
Oh, that sounds good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We, actually, shameless plug, but we, if you have not been following us, we are also on YouTube. This is not a podcast episode, but we're doing what's called a barter challenge, where essentially we're reaching out to 30 random people. Not people we know, because I think that would be cheating, and we have a really great system. But 30 random people, and we're doing like a barter. So we're offering people the opportunity to give Jen something in exchange for a 15-minute reading, and it doesn't matter. They set the terms on that. But our first barter was super successful, and you received a lot of cool things, and you're actually wearing one of the pieces that you received on the barter.
This is one of the things.
Yeah.
They brought like a whole goodie bag of things to barter, which was fascinating.
So the reason that triggered is because the person we bartered with uses a lot of like dry flowers and dry things, and that just gave me the idea. Yeah, that would be cool to maybe do like a dry flower of sorts.
And speaking of like fertility, union, stuff like that, spring and summer are wedding season, and I guess in the Central Valley fall too, to a certain extent, like before Halloween. So if you're looking to get married and have an interesting bachelorette party, or even a very unique wedding experience that your guests can also be a part of, we do have wedding services, which I just posted on Instagram and Facebook. You can also message me for a specific quote for what you're looking for, but I do have some standardized packages.
And you went to a wedding expo as well, right?
Yeah, the wedding expo was so much fun. I met so many cool folks, and actually one of the vendors is going to be on Mystic Maintenance very, very soon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
To close out our topic for today, I always do like to give suggestions or opportunities for people that maybe don't have a community or don't have a really strong community. What's something that they can maybe do on their own? And it's a part two. You mentioned that Beltane asked you to stop surviving and start living. What's your thought process on, like, spring is very, like, in line with, like, spring cleaning and making sure you start anew? That can be stressful for some people. Do you recommend, like, incorporating spring cleaning to this?
This is more of like a fun celebration, not so much cleaning, unless you count putting out the fire to light it again with the magic fire. But
yeah,
I think this is more fun if you've been sad because of the weather, or maybe because of winter you haven't really seen people. Then maybe figuring out what's like a baby step that you can take to just bring a little bit more joy into your life, whether you're celebrating by yourself or with other people. But you don't have to celebrate by yourself. We have the Kythera Club of other witchy people that also like to celebrate these things, and maybe even like virtually share or hop on a once a month call with me and all the other Kythera Club members and just geek out and talk about these topics.
And this will be my offering to anybody who's listening and is nearby. If you want to get a glass of mead, I'm more than down. I love mead, so let me know. Awesome. Well, I think it was a great topic. I think it was a good way to close out our Sabbath. I'm glad we're moving on from it, but this was super enjoyable. I think I learned a lot, and it was cool to kind of see. On that note of moving on, we do have some kind of announcements for May. We finally wrapped up all the, what are we calling them? All the religious topics, I guess?
The wheel of the year, like the Wiccan Sabbat.
No, I'm talking about like our Good Friday, Lent, like that little...
Oh, yeah, just Easter, things related to Easter type things.
Yes.
Roman Catholic holidays.
So we're done with that. We left that in... covered in April, and then when we did Fat Tuesday. All that to say is we have noticed, and I spoke to Genesis candidly about this, a lot of the things we cover are Eurocentric, including like a lot of Euro practice do come from like Greek mythology, Roman mythology, and I do want to spotlight our like Latin roots. I think it's important to give voice and platform not only to Eurocentric establishments, but to everyone. So we also want to be respectful, so that's why sometimes we don't go super deep into topics we don't understand or we wouldn't want to appropriate. But I don't think we've given enough homage to our roots, which in my case are Mexican and Vietnamese, and in your case are Mexican. So with that said, May is going to be specialized for more like South American to like Latin topics. So keep an eye out for that. It has nothing to do with Cinco de Mayo, because that's also very derivative. It just so happened that I was like, I think it's time, and it's like May's coming up, so let's just dedicate a month. So we're gonna do very, very exciting topics, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with Cinco de Mayo. We're just kind of over it, and we need a palate cleanser.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So if people want to get a hold of you, including for possible wedding services, how can they do that? Instagram,
TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky at Giancarlo, or on Facebook, Kythera Collective LLC, or our website, giancarlo.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for watching and listening to today's episode. We really appreciate it.
Remember, the magic within you makes the world a more beautiful place. Blessed be, and signing off. Bye.